Hi, and welcome to Live Painting at Noon. I'm Nettie Price, and I create whimsical, vibrant, and fun, sparkling art. Today I'd love to share with you the beginnings of a new commission that I'm working on, and also I'll be working on a couple other paintings that I'll have at my upcoming shows. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time painting with me. My camera flipped back a little bit, so I'm going to fix it. So hold on. There we go. I guess I'm like scritching down. But anyway, I just wanted to fix that. Speaking of shows, I will be having a live from Sam at 7 p.m. next Wednesday, October 9th. And a live from Sam is a live from the Sparkling Art Mobile. If you're not familiar, I do a live sale of my new items, my featured items, clearance items. We play games. There's lots of prizes and it's a whole lot of fun. So come on, join me then Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook. October 19th, I'll be at the Delaware Valley Golden Retriever Rescue for their reunion and their apocalypse. It's going to be so stinking cute. Check their website for times as well. November 2nd and 3rd, I'll be at the Tiny House Expo, which is totally cool because I love tiny homes and it's going to be really fun. That'll be at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. Then I will be at the Maryland Christmas Show, November 22nd through the 24th and the 29th through December 1st. That'll be like awesome for holiday shopping and everything. And December 5th through the 8th is the Bazaar in Richmond, Virginia. So I just wanted to give you a heads up for my shows coming up for this holiday season. Make sure that you check out for my live from Sam. Those will be scheduled and I'll let you know when those are happening. And one last thing before we get started on painting. This weekend is Fishing for a Cure, which is a charity that's near and dear to my heart. I do the t-shirt designs for their event that they have all week long in Emerald Isle, North Carolina. And if any of you were familiar with Khaki Shorts, that's Khaki Shorts, her mom. And unfortunately, Khaki has passed, but this is the new design for this year's t-shirt. So if you could help support them, I would really, really appreciate it. They're a great group of ladies and they raise money for people who have cancer and their families. So before that, or after that, we're going to get started and get painting. And let me just pull up on my Facebook, see who's here. Let's see here. I think I see Jean. Hi, guess what? We're getting started on your painting. This is going to be so much fun. Jean has commissioned the painting. It's an 18 by 24 original canvas. And I am going to flip you around. So hold on. Jean, can you hear me okay? Give me thumbs up if it's okay. Sometimes at the last minute it's kind of crazy. All right, so I'm going to flip this around. Hold on. There we go. Look, there's your little cuties. All right, so I'm going to put you up here on my stand so that we can watch. I hope it works out okay. Okay, there. I think we're good. I'm gonna move this up a little bit. So this is, that's my floor squeaking. Here we have the canvas. This is an 18 by 24 canvas, and Jean had sent me a picture of her 3 beautiful, beautiful dogs. This is Amber, Jill, and Hope. And what I do is, typically I get a lot of pictures, and I go through the pictures and I try to pick the one that really captures the essence of who they are as, you know, as the pets. And if you look at, before we get started, if you look at Amber, Amber has like a really solid look, and she has her head tilted to the side. What I see in Amber are her ears. You know, they're really wavy, and she's a substantial dog. She's really a beautiful golden retriever, and like the shape of her nose is kind of like a heart shape Her eyes are really expressive. And then when you look at Jill, Jill looks like she might be a little bit smaller, and her eyes are bigger, and they're very happy and sweet and kind. Hope is more majestic in my opinion. She's very beautiful. Her coloring is really beautiful, and Jean wanted to have her dogs have their natural colors. So if you look at the plan that I did, I kind of, instead of having them, you know, green, purple, and orange, we're gonna do the dogs, you know, the colors that they are, but I'm going to add colors to really highlight and make their fur come alive. I'm gonna do a colorful background, and it's just gonna be the headshot with all three. So I'm gonna set that aside. And as I do with all of my paintings, this is the gallery wrap canvas, which I wrapped it myself this morning. And this composition is going to be, hi Tina, how are you? This composition is going to be 2 larger dogs on the outside and then the smaller dog on the inside. Jill's going to be on the inside, Hope and Amber. So the size of their heads are bigger than my hands, and they're going to kind of tilt in. And if you've ever taken a painting class with me, I don't really sketch them out just because I use the black line to start as the map. I don't want to get specific and very detail oriented in this stage because I'm just working on composition. I'm not working on detail. There's like no idea of detail in this, and that's kind of how I create a painting. I have the vision in my head of what I want to paint, and then I work broad and then focus. So with that, the easiest way to work broad and to just be general about it is to work with a black line. So I'm going to take I just started using these little cups for colors, and they work out really well. So I'm going to get a paper towel. Oh, you know what? I forgot my music. What the heck? I had some cool music. Anyway, here we go. So, can you guys hear me okay? I hope so. All right, so I have the black, and I'm going to start off with the head. The heads are going to tilt to the side. And as you can see, especially with Amber, she naturally tilts it. She's tilting it to the outside. I want to tilt it to the inside because I want to create a grouping of a whole. And the way that works is when you do composition, you want to have not only the individual parts, but you want to make the parts work as a whole picture. So with that, I'm going to do just the outside line. I'm going to do the tilt to the head in, the tilt to the head in, and it's just going to be a general shape of a rectangle. Now this is very general. It's not perfect. I'm going to do Hope's head because I think Hope and Amber are more of the same size dog, and I'm going to take them and I'm going to tilt her head in as well. So I'm doing the long rectangular shaped head because they're golden retrievers. And you know, if you had like a Shih Tzu, they're like a small square little head. So I have the rectangular head tilting in, and I'm just going to keep going around. And then I'm going to put Jill. Jill's going to be in the middle, and her head's a little bit smaller. And we're going to put her head right here because I think she's just going to be the focal point. She's going to be the one who's going to be looking right at you with her big expressive eyes. Now we're going to put in the golden retriever ears. And golden retriever ears kind of flap over and are pretty substantial. So I'm going to come out. They go down to about half of the head. And then there's a curve. So I'm just putting it in real general. They kind of come down like this. And then the ears are wavy, which is really easy to put in a wave. And if you notice, Amber's, actually I'm talking about something you can't see. This is Amber. I'm working on Amber's head. And if you notice, her eyes are kind of high up in her head. So I'm just gonna put them right here. This is just general placement. Her eyes are in, and I'm just gonna fill it in. This is just a sketch of where the basic parts are gonna go. Her nose kind of just sits up a little bit and it's in the shape of a heart. So that's what I'm gonna do with her nose, right there in the middle. And we're just blocking it in. This is not detail. This is very, it's very general. It's the map. This is kind of where I'm starting off with. And the shape of her head, she kind of has a little point that's typical of a golden retriever. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to give her a nice little rounded head. And I'm going to come down. And she kind of has a cute little, you know, I don't want to say fat mouth. You don't be upset with me. So I'm coming down. I'm doing the shape of her head. I'm getting her ears in there. And there's like nice shape of the ears. Notice how it's like I'm not putting pressure on myself to get it perfect the first time. And I think that's the biggest thing when people try to paint, is that they want perfection on the first stroke. They think that the first stroke is the way it's going to look, and that's just not true. It's more of like you kind of work into it and you relax and you think about, you know, this is fun. You know, this is supposed to be my happy time where I just don't really think about much. I'm just thinking about the paint on the canvas, and you pretty much forget about everything else. And that's what makes painting so much fun, is that you just kind of zone out. And with this kind of painting, you know, I'm just doodling, I'm going over it. I'm not really being too, you know, too hard on myself as far as like that line right there. No big deal. I'm going to paint over it. Doesn't matter. And the edges, they're not perfect. That's fine too, because that's what's going to give the real subtleties of the fur in the next step. And because I've painted this way so many years, it's like I know that's what's coming, so I'm planning for it ahead of time. I'm leaving enough room here so I can really be delicate with my fur lines, but there's no way I could do that right now, because that's not part of this step. So now I'm kind of tightening it in, and I am making sure that I cover the canvas so that there's no white on the black, you know, on the black line. The black line doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be covered, because when I come in and I do the layer on top of layer with the color, I want to make sure that it's a, you know, it's a bold line, that there's no white in between, because then it's really hard to go back in to fix it. So here we have her body. Now from the sketch, I came out further instead of coming right down. So I'm gonna, you know, make her a little bit wider at the bottom, which that's fine, because she is, I mean, she's a good sized dog. Golden retrievers are not little puppies. So I'm going to come out a little bit further. It's okay, no problem about how this line is wider than the others. I'm making it how I want it to be. And the only way you can really distinguish on how you want it to be is to see what it is, and then, you know what you don't want, and then make it into what you want it to be. So, there we go. I think this is really cute. We're getting there so far. Now she has a collar, which we're going to put the collar. Now I'm not going to put the collar in the center. I want it off to the side because that's good composition. Even though it's in the center in the picture, that doesn't matter. I know in my head that typically when you have things that are dead center, it makes it visually boring. And that's what I do a lot of times with the eyes, with the head. I make it a little cockeyed on purpose so that it creates like a tension that you're really not aware of. And it's funny because I was at the Barnes Foundation with my friend last weekend, and we heard an art historian talk about paintings. And one of the things which I didn't know, and I took art history and I had no idea, is that especially like during the medieval times, they would make their faces uneven on purpose. Like they would make one eye smaller than the other one on purpose. And I was like, oh man, I do that too. That's kind of cool. All right, so we have the chain or the leash. Hi Heidi, how are ya? Thanks for joining us. Isn't this fun? Heidi, Tina, and Jean are all friends in Port Charlotte, and I'm so glad that they're here with me today. So this is fun, and I'm gonna see you when I come down to Florida. It's gonna be fun. All right, let's move on to the middle one. The middle one is gonna be Jill, and notice in my sketch, Jill kind of has this little indent in her head, like right here. She doesn't have the point like Amber has. Jill has more of like, kind of like a ridge. Jill also has really big eyes, a big nose, and she's just a little sweet head. Her head, in proportion to her body, is smaller than Amber's head. So, at least that's what I think by the pictures. So, tell me if I'm wrong. Let me know, Jean. Alrighty. So, with this one, like I said, we're going to make her head a little bit smaller. So this head might be a little bit too big compared to Amber's head. So I'm going to come in with my black line, and I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. Not much, but I noticed in comparison that that's a kind of change that I want to make. So I'm just coming around. There's the dip in her head. And when you break it down into smaller parts, like for example, I started with the heads. I didn't really add any curved lines or anything. It was just straight lines, straight, because I wanted to block it in, and that was the first step. Then I kind of bring it in closer. I added some curves for the ears because I noticed that's how the ears go, and the shape of the nose and the size of the nose. So it's almost like, like I said, you start general and you kind of step inward with blocking it in with the black, with making your black line. So how we're going to do her body. Now, golden retrievers have really wavy hair. So I want to make sure that my line is nice and thick. Okay, so here's the face. Her nose is, fits her head. Now remember, these are going to be, the noses are bigger because I'm going to overlap, and her eyes are pretty big compared to her head. And her nose is a little bit closer. I know in the picture it's the angle, the nose looks closer to the eyes because of the angle of the picture. So you kind of have to think about it, looking straight on, because that's the view, because I want to apply the same view to all three dogs. And that's where, when you get pictures, or when I get pictures, or when people, paint from pictures, is that the perspective may be off a little bit, but they don't realize it and they don't compensate for that perspective. So that's just something to think about when, you're painting on your own and trying to figure out how to make things work. With my type of painting, it's very simple, but yet very effective. I try to really do as much as I can with the least amount of work, I guess. Guess that's what you have to call it. All right, so her ears, this ear is kind of going to go back. She has pretty long ears. They're very furry ears. Typical golden retriever ears. And we're going to come down. We're going to match the other ear. And this is where I'm adding the curves. I'm not thinking blocks anymore or straight lines. I'm coming around, and so I have everything placed. I think maybe her nose might come down a little bit further. I'm not worried about the size because I'm gonna paint over it like I said before. And then I'm just gonna fill in this black so that the black is gonna be so thin, and in parts you might not even see it. Okay, now we're gonna go to her tag, and she has a round tag as well. I'm going to put this one over. This one I chose to put it off center to the right, so I'm going to make a different choice. Put this one off center to the left, and this is where I'll put their names in there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, I feel like a tape recorder, but it's true. It's true, and I really try, you know, to really think about that as I'm painting. It's so nice to have in your head that, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, that I can fix it later. And it's really reassuring to know that it's not a once and done deal. And, you know, there's no pressure. I guess that's the point. No pressure. And when I do the classes, sometimes I see people really struggle because they're type A and they really want to get it perfect. All right, now we're moving on to Hope. Hope has her ears come about halfway down. Her eyes are a little bit smaller, nose is a little bit bigger, but she's really just a beautiful, beautiful animal. So what I'm going to do is kind of do the shape of her head. It's arched. It's not valleyed like little Jill's head. And I'm coming up and over. I'm going to do the top arch. Now her ears come down like a triangle off the side of her head, and then they kind of come in, and there's a little lip there. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to do the same thing. Now notice she's in the front, except for her ear. And notice how they're all overlapping. That's another composition technique that you can use to create visual interest. If you have 3 dogs that are separate, sometimes it can be sterile, but when they're together, they're overlapping. It brings like a sense of, you know, cohesiveness, like they belong together, like they like to be together, that they actually like to get along. So I'm going to round off the bottom of the muzzle. Here I'm kind of taking away from the blocky shape at the bottom here. It's a little bit rounder. Her nose is a little bit bigger. So I'm going to put in just the shape of her nose. Coming down. Her eyes, they're kind of like down. She has a good forehead. So I'm going to put her eyes like right here. Doesn't matter if they're not the same size. I'm not trying to be perfect at all. If you notice, I'm really just blopping it on there because this is going to be the undershadow. This is the undershadow, so it doesn't matter at all what shape I make because it's going to be painted over. I just want to have the placement in the head the right way. This one, I might make it just a little bit bigger. Her nose. Now we want to get her, she's pretty stocky. So we're going to give her some room. I want to finish her bottom of her ear. And then her body, which will bring it down like that. And typically what I do, which I'm not going to do now, is I'll paint the sides black while I'm at it. I'll do that later because that's pretty boring for you guys. So I'm just going to go over, and I want my lines to flow. Like before, it was just, you know, block, block, block. Now I want to kind of curve it in. I want to really learn what I like as far as going over the line and going around tracing over the line. Now, the amount of black line that you let show in the end is up to you. You know, sometimes people like really bold black lines. I think I'm going to start to try to be less heavy-handed with the black line. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So I want to make sure that the line's thick enough for the hair. I'm going to go over it. I'm making sure that there's no white and that I have everything accounted for. All the ears are in. I'm not going to do any tails. I want to do a tail. I might be able to fit a tail in there, but I don't think I'm going to do it. Might make her a little bit chunkier because she is a big dog. I'm going to get in there. And then here's my tags. So with this one, with Hope's tag, I'm going to give her a tag even though, you know, she doesn't have one in the picture, because that's the way. It's just something that I want to do for all the animals. All right, and I want to make sure that I get to the edge of the canvas. So I hope that showed you how, this is pretty much the hardest part, and I hope that I showed you how, like, the mindset of, you know, how to create a painting where, number one, you're not getting worked up over it, and number two, it's like you build it step by step, and then three is that you kind of like, you get in there, you block everything in, and now's the time where I'm going to start thinking about color, you know, where I want to place the colors. So I'm going to do my background, my colorful background on here, and then, you know, the dog's faces are really going to be pushed forward. Now I am going to put a heart right here. Now typically when I do a heart, I want to make it, it's not a perfect heart. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be a little bit ob-shaped. Is that a word? Ob-shaped? Maybe? Hi, Kim. How are you? I think you should paint with me instead of picking up sticks. It's my brother. So here we go. I'm coming around, making the heart. It's not even. It's not perfect. I'm not trying to, you know, make a Valentine's heart. I just wanted to make a big heart for them. And I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. That heart might be a little bit too big. So I'm going to come down and bring in the line. And then I'm just going to paint over the outside of that. There we go. Jean, I don't want a big heart on there. I'm going to put your name in there. Okay. There we have it. Now I'm going to let this dry. And I'm going to move on to the next step, which is, let's see here. My music went away yet again. That's okay. I'm going to bring over this other painting. So this one's going over here. And I already did, oh, look at this guy. This is a big one. This is a round piece of wood, which is pretty thick. It's pretty heavy. It's pine. I sanded it before I started painting it, and I did the black line. This one is to sell. I've made these before, and people really love them. I made this one a little bit different because the dogs are going to have a bow tie and a necktie, which that's what they do. And I'm going to take this paintbrush, put it over here. I should have had another water, but I don't. Now the first thing I'm going to do is, after the black line, I'm going to pick out the colors that I'm going to do. Now the border is going to be filled with color, and I typically like to work from light to dark. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to make, I think, a blue dog and a green dog. That's it. I just made up my mind. So I'm going to take my little thing here. And what I did, if you can see, is I have the color and then I added some white in here. I'm going to add a little bit more white because I don't think this is enough. And I want to be able to mix it. So I put it all in the same container, but I'm not putting other colors, just the base color. So I have my medium-sized brush, and I really want to focus on this guy. I think I'm going to make him blue, and I may add some green. So if I do this one blue and green, I think I'm going to do this one blue and purple. So the reason why I decided to do that is on the color wheel, I want to make this one have more cooler undertones, and this one to have this one is blue and green, so it's going to have warmer undertones, and this one's going to be blue and purple, which is going to have cooler undertones. So I want to get out my yellow, actually my green and yellow, and I'm going to put a little bit more yellow in here because I buy like big things of paint. Okay, so put it in there, and I have my paintbrush. No, I think I'm going to use, I'm going to use this size. All right, so the first step is the eyes, and if you're familiar with how I paint, I block in the eyes. I have the top part so that it points up in the middle. I just do a square, and see how it didn't matter, what I'm painting over. I'm leaving the undershadow. I'm going to do the same here, and just coming up. Now this eye is going to be a little bit different, which is good. Doesn't have to be the same exact shape eye. And I'm going to come around and do the nose. So there's like a little black connector part here, coming around. And notice how I left the black? That kind of makes the nose come down to the bottom of the head, coming around. And now I'm going to cut off and make the nose a lot smaller. And I'm going to add some more shapes to it, more like angles and curves. And here with the head, I'm going to add some more to it. So I put that down. I'm going to get some yellow and green. And notice how I'm mixing it right onto the wood. I'm going in to get some more blue. I try not to contaminate the color, but yet I think if you're light enough with your hand, you can really get enough paint on the brush, but yet you're not getting it in the paint. So this is how, if you notice, if you look here, I'm really mixing the colors on the wood, and it makes it so fresh. And I think that's why it's happy, because happy is fresh. When the colors are really lively and vibrant and clean, it's happier, because colors, I think, are happy. I just came up with that right now. We'll see. Okay, so I did the face. I didn't worry about the eyes. I made them a little bit different. Now I'm going to do the ear, and I want to get all the colors in there. Now, dogs' ears have kind of like a flap, so I'm going to get in there and do that little flap. And then I'm going to come around. Oop. And mix the paint right here. Now I want, this dog is going to be really fluffy, so I'm going to come in with a light stroke that's going to create, notice how that happens there? I'm planning ahead. These two fur lines are coming in together, and I want the furry one to go against the one that doesn't have as much fur. Getting the other ear coming up. Now here, I can really do some curves in there, but yet I don't want to lose the black line. And there's some more music. Okay, now I'm going to go down and do the body. The tie is here and here, so I want to really use the tip of the brush and then cut in where the fur meets the tie. Come around. I don't want to lose my black line, because this black line right here is really important. Sometimes people paint over that and their dog looks like a tube sausage. So you have to make sure you keep this line here. Very, very important. Very important. All right, so I'm getting that in there. I'm gonna get some more paint and do his body. I think I'm gonna give him a pink tie, just because I like pink ties. Come here and around the side here. So now that I have it all blocked in, I want to clean up this blue here because that doesn't look right. And I want to make sure that, you know, all of the shadows that I don't want, I'm going to paint over and put another layer. So that's the key, is the layering. So there's a fine line between layering it and killing it. You know, you want to be spontaneous, but yet you don't want to kill it. So it's like the colors are on there, they're working together, and you don't want to put too much on, otherwise it's all flat. And that's where paintings are magic. It's in the way the paint interacts with each other. Sometimes I don't know if I use proper English, but that's all right. I think you know what I mean. All right, so now this is the dog color, and I am going to add some of that same color around the edges. Just because I'm here and the paint is on the brush, and I want to fill in these sides. I'm going to do another one and just work my way around. I'm going to turn it around. Maybe I'll do a greener with yellow here. I think I want to add some white in there. Now notice I really didn't get much of the green in here, and if I do, I'm going to clean it out because I want to keep this pretty clean. Okay, going around. So if anybody has any questions, just type them in the comment section and I can answer them even after. If you're watching on the replay, I can still answer any questions. Oh, and also, if you go over to YouTube, I started a channel, and I think I have, like, I don't know, a few subscribers.
So if you would like to see new videos, which I will post this on YouTube and I'll post it on my painting page, which I should have shared it, but I didn't because I always forget. Yeah, go over to YouTube and you can join the page. Okay, there's that. Let's see, what time is it? I think I'm gonna do one more. And then I'm gonna start on the little dog. So now I have all of these blocks that all correspond to that one, which I think is cool. And I want to have as much variation in each block. You know, I don't want them to be flat because that's boring. So I'm adding brush strokes to kind of give it each block some depth. Okay, now I think for this dog I'm going to use a smaller brush just because he's a smaller head, and the fur, I really want it to be really fine. So I'm going to start around the eyes like the last one. I'm going to get the purple. So then this time it's different. I'm going to be using the blue and the purple, and I'm going to dip it into the blue and then I think into the purple as well. I want the eyes. These eyes I think are going to be rounder because it's a little dog with big eyes. And I'm just cutting out the outside shape of the eyes.
And I think I'm gonna zoom in.
That looks kind of funny. There we go. I'm going to move it over a little bit so that you can see more of the painting and less of the paints. Okay. Now I'm going to do the nose. And I think that might be a little too big. I'm going to cut off, shave off the sides and make like a little, I'm just looking at the shape of the nose, not any of the detail of the nose, not the nostrils, nothing. I'm just, in that line there, I'm just painting over it because it didn't make sense in my head. And there we go. Now I want it to be lighter here on the forehead. And now this is where the fur comes in. I really want the fur to be light. And if I have to add a little water to it, that's fine. I want it, but the thing is when you add the water, then the black really goes through. So I'm just gonna try to come out like this. I don't want to cover up all of the black. And I'm coming around the outside really light, and this is where I can make the fur kind of move in the black. And I'm going to really make it light, very light, light and furry to make sure I have enough paint on the paintbrush. And I want to work it into the purple. Now, typically small dogs are darker in the muzzle, and then they get lighter on the outside. So I'm going to get some purple and kind of work my way out from the nose. And I have this line here. I want to get rid of that. It's almost like you mix it, like, you know how you have a cake batter and all the parts are separate when you put it in the bowl? This is kind of like mixing. You know, I have the blue, I have the purple, I'm blending it together. And I don't want to mix it so that it's all uniform, but I do want to make it so that it goes together and that there's variation in the color. And let's try this one. I got music off of Facebook. Well, everybody, it is 12:45 and thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun and I am going to show you these in a little bit. So make sure you check back on Facebook so that you can see the finished product. This will be available on my website and at shows, and I'll do a final video of the commission painting, which is going to be fun. I'm also working on another commission down in the basement. I'm still getting the parts together, but it's going to be really, really cool. I can't wait to show you that one. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I'm going to say goodbye for now. Make sure if you have any questions, you put them in the comments section, and I will be sure to answer them. And I hope everything is going great. All right, take care. Bye.